Hello, everyone. We are going to start another demo hour. Today, I'm going to show how to push and pull to a private registry, specifically for Google Cloud. And the goal is to show if you have like a custom connector, which you can uh, made public, this is the path you can use. So I'm going to show how to using a GCP instance. I have my Airbyte there and the process you need to set up to publish and consume your custom connector. Feel free to ask anything on the chat, or if you want to enter and ask any questions, you you can do that too. So just 1 second. And okay, let me share my screen. I hope you are seeing this. So what I have made until now is I have this Airbyte demo hour instance. So it's running Airbyte. I follow the instructions from our deployment, and it's very easy to follow this. And the goal is to use a private custom connector and add it to our instance. So we need to do two steps here. One is create three steps. One is create our registry on GCP. The other is uh, logging into our local instance to publish the image, and then we need to enter our GCP instance which has Airbyte running and get the image to that instance. So I'm going to show here. So Google has the artifact registry, which can be used for Docker and other type of containers. I already created one, which is Marcus Demo Hour. And what we need to do, there is some examples that I push already. And what I want to show to you is this. We need to have locally, we need to have the Google SDK. And with this, we are going to configure Docker to be able to communicate with the GCP artifact registry. One point is my registry is not on Central, is I think in US East 1. So I need to run this command, but I need to change to the correct one. So let me see. And I'm gonna change this to East 1. So this configured to me the possibility to connect to Google remote Docker registry and also communicate with my custom private registry. And what we need to do right now is really to build our connector. I'm going to take one example here. I think I was working with Facebook, but let's see, very simple one. I think we can do Airbyte connectors, integrations, connectors, source, and I'm going to create like the poke API because it's really simple. So you can follow our documentation how to publish a connector and a container. You can enter for the C case Python. You can really easy create one like this one. So I'm going to label very different. So the idea here is like Marcus demo hour and poke API, my source, and I'm gonna tag this 1001. So we can see here that we have our image locally created. So I need to do this first, and then I need to push this image to the Google Registry. So that is, we need to follow some instructions here. And what we can do is really tag our, we need to tag our image now to follow this naming. So we need to get the project. So for me, it's data line integration test, and then follow the repository like Marcos demo hour. So I'm going to show how to do that. And this is the part of locally build. So what we need to do is docker tag, and I'm going to use like demo our source poke API. So this is the image that I have locally, which is not publicly available, and have my custom changes. And then I need to publish to my private repository. So if I click here, I'm going to have this path here, like the US East Docker package dev, and this is what I need to have. And then I need to give this path to Docker. So I have no idea how to do this very easily. So US is one Docker package dev. So now I need to give the project ID. For me is data line integration testing. And then the path in this case is Marcos demo hour, which is a folder. And the name I have for my connector. So in this case, it's going to be source private poke API, and we can also give some tagging here. And after that, we need to push the image to Docker. So that is also this documentation. So pushing to the artifact registry. So you're going to see there. And we need to delete the first part and only have the. So right now we are publishing this connector to our private registry. And if my internet helps, okay. And if we go here, we have this new image on our Google private registry, which is source private poke API. And right now, what we need to do is connect to our instance, which is running on GCP already with Airbyte, and get this to that image. So what we need to do is really cloud. Let me just a second that I don't have like. So now inside my instance. So if we see, we have Airbyte running, so scheduler and the server worker, the web app. What we need to do is for GCP is quite easy because the G-Cloud SDK is already installed. So we need to connect to the same process that we made locally. We need to do oh, I I was disconnected. Which part I was off? Can someone give some directions? Oh, okay. Okay, now just a second that I was disconnected. So, yep, I'm inside the instance again. So again, Docker PS, what we need to do is, sorry, it's the same process to configure our registry artifact, but now inside our Airbyte instance on GCP. So now we have access. And what we need to do is really Docker pull and bring this the image that we publish here to inside the Airbyte GCP instance. So 1 second. I think this is gonna be helpful. And I will Docker pull. Oh, I need to pass the tag because it's not latest. So right now I have this instance, okay. And if we can image, we are going to see that we have this instant container that we just submit to our private repo. And now we need to add this on the UI. So we need to do this manually. And just a second, I'm gonna get the command. So I need to log off from my instance and open SSH tunnel so I can access the web browser. Oh, US is one, I think. Let me get this one, US East B. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. The problem is that I copy and trying to connect to the wrong one, which is, this is the name for my instance, and in this case, it's demo hour. So now I'm going to be able to connect to that instance using my local browser. And we need to come here, and then we can create a new connector using this private custom connector image. And here we need to pass all the path. So it's basically this here, which is the registry domain and our project ID, and also the folder. and also the name of our container. And here, the Docker image tag. And for just the deployment, we are only use like URL. And then we click add, and then we have this private custom connector. You can do that for sources or destinations, should work fine for both case. And I think was that I want to show to you. Uh, any questions, Blake? I think you are on AWS. Sorry to not bring in this session, how to do that for AWS. But maybe the components can show you the way, what you need to do. Uh, I think how I managed to connect on GCP instance is not the best one, using like gcloud auth. Maybe for you need to check with your infrastructure team if you need to use like a service account or other way to authenticate that. But basically, you need to give access to EC2 or a GCP VM instance to that artifact registry and be able to pull that image to your Airbyte.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask for that. Thank you for doing the demo here. That is that private custom connector. Is that a new functionality? I just was catching in the UI there where you drop down, or have I just missed that when I'm like setting it up through the Airbyte UI for like the drop down? It looked like originally I thought it was just a Docker connection or like Docker Hub
Mhm.
connection. Is that new functionality that's been added in?
No, no, you can do that, I think, in previous versions of Airbyte, but you need to at least, uh, because Airbyte is going to try to connect to Docker Hub, but if you
Yeah,
have like your image already set up into your Airbyte instance, then Airbyte is going to pull from that
yeah.
registry.
Or yeah, because I've known that like because in the workflow, if I understand how you demoed it today, you kind of like you create your image like on your local desktop of that connector, upload that to whatever your image repo is, but then
Hmm.
importantly, like you're able to for set up the connector through the UI, and there's the drop down menu for custom connector, and then you can point to the URL of like in this example the GCP like image management service. Is that kind of the general flow that I'm understanding?
Yeah, if you want to use like a custom connector, you need to add manually using the UI. So this process to be shown into when you are trying to create a source. Let me show here. Because right now, when you came here, you are going to see that the private custom connector image is here. This is from a previous attempt that I made.
Nice.
And so we have this option like new connector.
Mm.
And this is basically when you want to add like really a connector that is not mapped into the main repo. So like for custom connector or a change that you made. And this is not new, so it's really easy. Should be used for AWS or GCP too.
So that's the just to make sure I understand that image pointer right there, the US East one Docker. Like that is the GCP. You so okay, so it's
Hmm.
more okay. That's what I was trying to understand. So it's kind of a misnomer when it's talking about the image URL, like or Docker URL, like in the process,
Yeah,
right? Okay, cool. Because I think that was the hurdle I wasn't clear on for like doing private ones in that process. So
got it. Yeah, I think this is for GCP that use this path for tagging. So, and in that way, I could manage to bring the private custom connector. Maybe with a further investigation, we could maybe have a better workflow for that.
Yeah, because it's like effectively what you've done is you logged into the instance, authenticated through G-Cloud, so that that instance has connections to the private repo, and then you added the URL to the specific image as a custom connector. And because the EC2 instance was authenticated already, or sorry, in this case, the GCS instance was authenticated already, or GCC, I always forget, but like
Mhm.
it's good to go to make the connection to that private connector. So a similar workflow on AWS would consist of like EC2 instance, set it up, log in, use the AWS, install the AWS CLI, authenticate, kind of thing, to have this instance be authenticated and have some sort of access token, and then set up a connector, log back out, log in or port to 8000, and then set up your custom connector with that specific URL to the specific image. Is that okay?
Yes, that should work. Uh, as I said to you, maybe this is not like the best way, the best flow to do, because you are connecting your instance into G Cloud or AWS. Maybe your infrastructure team can only give access to the instance, uh, access the ECR service. So could be another way to do that, like permissions for the EIM for your EC2 instance.
Yeah.
But right now for tests is, I think this is the easy way to validate and have this working. And maybe discussing with the infrastructure team, you can leverage a better way.
Cool. Yeah. No, this is really helpful. So thanks for doing the demo.
Thank. Uh, let's see. Xingfeng, do you have any questions? Don't need to be
Yeah.
related with.
Hey, yeah. Yeah, actually, yes, thank you for inviting me because actually I do have a question for my scenario user case. So the thing is, I want to create a connection which the source is a MongoDB and the
Mhm.
destination is PostgreSDB, right? So I want to create the connection. Then in when I can I share my screen,
Yeah,
by the way.
I think you
Okay, let
are
me
able.
share my screen. Share screen. Yeah, so basically, yes. So, when I share this, you can see my screen, right? Are you able to
Hmm.
see my screen? Yeah.
Yes.
So I just picked the source as the MongoDB, right? And I just gave the name and the username and password. But the thing is, in my real case, when I used a TLS to like certificate to make sure this connection is like GPS based. So like when I use my Mongo shell to connect, actually I'm connecting like this, like username
Hmm.
password, and I will have a certificate file .pem file, right? So I'm not sure if like here we have any place which I can put this PEM file because from the from the document from the documentation you provide, like for this MongoDB, you do mention that it's better to use the TLS SSL, right, for on a
Hmm.
connection for MongoDB. So I'm wondering if like in here I can just put that. I think like maybe you have it, but I just don't know how to configure it. So yeah, do you have any hint about this one?
Yeah, I don't think we have the support to paste like a SSH key right now
Mm.
for Mongo, because for other database, when you try to create like a SS tunnel or creating giving a key, you at least should paste the content of
Yeah,
that
but
key.
another question I have is actually, you see, for this Oracle DB,
Hmm.
then here, if you select like a TLS encrypted, then in here, you see, I can like put this SSL PAM file, right? I can just paste it here. So I think maybe you can just move this feature. I mean, just copy this feature to MongoDB connector. So MongoDB will have it also.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you because
Uh-huh.
I think for Mongo TOS and the type of connection,
Hmm.
there is some TOS that doesn't need the PAN file,
Mm,
so we may ship the feature with now the option to give the certificate.
mm, mm, mm.
I think you create a issue on the GitHub
Yes,
project.
yes, yes. But I'm just want to like a double confirming it with you to
Mhm.
see whether maybe I missed something or like yeah, just
No,
that's
I don't think
something.
you are
Mm. Okay,
missing
okay, okay.
anything.
Sounds good. Okay. Okay, and actually, I have another. Then, like, I think I will just wait until you guys like put this feature to MongoDB connector maybe later, and let's see what will happen. And or I can find some like alternative way to like work around way to like to make it work. So like I'm planning to like add a proxy server. So like Airbyte will just connect to that connect proxy server. So like this proxy server will gonna have this certificate and forward this connect, I mean, just help to connect. So that's something I plan to do. But yeah, but it will be very helpful if you can think about like adding this feature like for MongoDB as same as this like Oracle DB. So yeah, so like it will be in a better shape. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And do have another question for, I mean, basically how does, because how does like Airbyte works? Because currently I'm just moving, I mean, I deploy the Airbyte to Kubernetes. And
Hmm.
the question I have is that uh, how much disk space do I need to give for the Airbyte worker? Because for example, I'm gonna sync, for example, like 100 gig data from source to destination, right? But does it work like, oh, I first, I mean, the source connector first like copy all those 100 gig data to its local, then like sync to the destination like one by one, or like it's like I just copy like for example like 10 records, for example, then like 2 hour to the local to the like Airbyte
Hmm.
server, then like it just sync to just write this 10 records to the destination, then like after it's finished and I just write the next one. How does it work? Because depends on that, will help me decide like how much space I will need to allocate for this server, right?
Yeah, sure.
Mm,
For databases, we do like a patch. So
mm,
we use like a JDBC driver and we patch. We are very conservative to not need to use a lot of resources
mhm,
or
mhm,
like
mhm, mhm.
having a lot of memory to
Mm, mm,
consume the records. Right now,
mm.
we are like patching 1,000 records each time.
Okay, okay, okay.
So what can be
So,
problematic for you is if you have like one table with large a JSON, a very large JSON in one
mm,
column maybe, and the records, each row is very uh, heavy.
mm,
So maybe for those cases, you need to
mm.
plan differently and give more memory
Okay, okay, okay.
to.
But generally, I don't think it's like one record will be like super large. So maybe it should be just normal disk space will be okay, no problem. Yeah, and the another thing is that like after you like for example like the Airbyte right puts this 1,000 records to destination, does it like write into the database or like so then like even this job is like canceled, those 1,000 record is still already allocated into the destination, or it then it's not like that?
Mhm.
For
Yeah,
example, like suddenly this like it's canceled, or like there's like a network issue, so like the destination will suddenly like shut down, things like that. So what will happen?
yeah. Right now, our checking pointing, we are trying to improve this. So what happened
Mm,
is when you
mm,
trigger the connection, is going to create like some temp tables,
mhm, mhm,
and we are going to align the data there. And
mm,
when finished the temp, so when you was able to get all the records from your source, then everybody's going to generate the final the raw table and then the final table.
mhm, mhm,
So
mhm,
right now is quite complicated because if you have like a very long connection
mm, mm,
and fail in the middle, we need
mm.
to bring all the
Retry.
data again, retry all the data again. So this is a process we are trying to improve. It's not very simple to do that
Okay,
without
okay.
blowing up all the destination database. And so the status today, you need to retry and bring all the data, and we are trying to improve this checkpoint feature.
So like the question is that when you mentioned that the dump table, is that dump table located at like an Airbyte database or the destination database? I mean, because
Destination.
in destination database, right? So is that like
Yes.
the raw? I mean, there's something like Airbyte raw, like for example, like a user table. Is that the raw? Raw is the like dump table, right?
No, because you are
Oh.
going to see like some raw tables. The raw table is going to store the records when the sync
In
was
JSON
complete.
format, basically in JSON format,
Yes.
right?
And you should, when you are syncing, you are going to
The
see like a
temp
temp
table. Oh,
table
I
is
see. I
deleted.
see what you mean. Yeah, the temp
Yeah.
table. The temp table. So yeah, so the temp table is that if, for example, the connection is disconnect, those temp table will still be there because you don't have process to like delete them like for now. But well, the raw table carry those data which already being arrived
Yes.
at the destination. Yes, right. So how about the final like the basic normalization table, the basic normalized table? Will that also carry this data?
Yes. The basic normalization is going to get all the data inside the raw. So the raw is to keep well-defined things that was completed, and we ensure that the data was safe there. And basic normalization is going to build based on that raw table. So the temp table is going to only append new data and into the raw tables, and from raw tables we are going to generate the final tables.
Yeah. Okay. So like let's put it this way. So if, for example, it's the connection, I mean this sync process like finish like correctly. Well, I mean correct when it means that maybe it has some like the disconnection issue, then like it's like failed and retried and retried, and after it's retried 3 times, then maybe it just like stopped because then like well the normal basic normalization start running in this case to like convert to transform those data which already located at the raw table into the like the basic normalized table, or it's not like that, or actually like it won't even run this this basic normalization process to like to convert those raw data in the raw table into this like a final basic normalized table. What is that? How does that work?
So the process is like Airbyte's going to into the sync is going to generate a temp table and dump all the data for that sync into this temp table. And the sync finish, we are going to append this data to the raw tables. So the raw tables can have like duplicate data and anything. So it's very long table because
Yes,
it's
yes,
going to
yes.
have all the records.
Yes, yes.
And after the sync is finished, or maybe have a problem, is going to trigger the normalization step.
Oh, okay,
And the
okay.
normalization step is going to get all the raw tables and then generate the final.
Okay. Sounds good. So what if, for example, I change the sync mode to incremental deduplicates plus history? Then like well this like a normalization like this like SCD for example this history table that like being updated also, like because I think the updated, because I think the history table is also like from the raw table, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so like well this table also be populated and yes, and I think if this history table got updated, then like the final table is also will be updated if like it
Yes.
works like that. Yeah.
Right now, what's happening in normalization, we recreate all the final and also the history table during the running. So it's very cost to do that. And this week we released the incremental normalization, so it's going to work differently. So it's going to be much more cheaper, the process to generate the history and also the final tables.
Okay, so I'm gonna try it out for sure.
Okay, I need to go. That I have another
Cool.
meeting right now.
Thank you so much. It's very helpful. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
Bye,
Have a good
everyone.
one. Bye bye.